they just appeared out of the air with solid as a rock. And I never would think that they would have such a profound career before. Solid as a rock. Or my joint, barbecue, found a cure. Barbecue. It's tearing me up, man. I was backstage with Marvin Gaye at the Coconut Grove in LA. What's bothering you, Dad? I got this problem, Smoke. I can just look at a pastanka and release. The way Marvin said it, both of us couldn't help but laugh. Yeah. So I'm glad that we're seeing from other people outside of Jan Gaye that he had some issues sexually. And I don't know if it was because his father was who he was, or whether or not it is because maybe he was fighting a demon or something, or maybe he was just old freaky nasty motherfucker. Well, man, why do you think that happens to you? I asked. Women expect so much of me. Smoke, they've made me into this sex symbol thing until sometimes it just messes with my head. This is really messing with my head, I said to myself as Marvin was on stage rocking the crowd with How Sweet It Is. The cat over there has my family's face, yet I can't place the dude. Coming to find out, it was his nephew. One of his sisters had a baby that she really couldn't afford and put him up for adoption. I'm really from Detroit, but now I'm the program director for KGFJ in Los Angeles. What's your name? I'm Roland Bynum. Bynum? What's your mama's name, man? I don't know. I was raised by foster parents. Suddenly I grabbed him and hugged him. Your mother's my sister. The first few months were rough. Each time Claudette moaned or groaned, I got scared. Each time I took her to the doctor, I was afraid of bad news. The doctor, though, gave us good reports. Nothing to worry about, he said. By the 4th month, I saw that Claudette's skin was glowing and her eyes sparkling. By the 5th month, she was absolutely radiant. And by the middle of the 6th month, when I left to perform at Palisades Park in New Jersey, I was feeling really confident about Claudette. I was also feeling good about my career. Tunes I'd written for the Miracles, Going to the Go-Go, Ba-Ba-La-Da, and Choosy Beggar were selling. Damn, Lou! So were my songs on the Temps. It's growing since I lost my baby, and Get Ready, 'cause here I come. Also had 2 more big records on the Marvelettes, a funky thing called The Hunter Gets Captured by the Game, and My Baby Must Be a Magician. Creatively, I was flowing. It was a magical night, performing under a warm, star-filled sky. Fans dancing, girls grabbing at us, guys calling out for our hits. Shut up, Lou. It was a magical night, performing under a warm, star-filled sky. Fans dancing, girls grabbing at us, guys calling out for our hits. At the end of the show, I went to our dressing room and had started changing when my niece Sylvia knocked on the door. Call home, Smoke, she said. Claudette just gave birth to twins. The twins are dead. Damn, Claudette. Christmas came. We tried to be jolly, but it wasn't easy. It was a blustery winter, snow squalls nearly every day, temperatures below 0. I braved the storms, fought my blues, and went shopping with a friend and fellow Motown writer, Al Cleveland. Need to buy something really nice for Claudette, I said. Let's go to Hudson's. Hudson's was hip. The biggest and best department store in downtown Detroit. The holiday hustle and bustle, merry decorations, folks piled up with packages got me to feeling a little better. I avoided the toys and baby department, heading straight for the jewelry counter. Picked out some pearls for Claudette. They're beautiful, I told the sales lady. Just hope my wife likes them. I second that emotion, said Al. What a funny phrase. I kept thinking on the way home, dodging in and out of holiday traffic. That afternoon, we wrote the song. I second that emotion was soon a smash for the Miracles. That night at the annual Motown Christmas party in the Hitsville building, my spirit was happier. Writing had released some of the sadness inside of me. Everyone was there, drinking, dancing, playing poker, poking fun. In those days, the Spinners were with us. It bugged me that we could never get a hit on them. They were sensational singers, and so were Gladys Knight and her Pips. From across the room, I heard someone call my name. It was Stevie Wonder. Whether it's your vibe or your scent, Stevie will sniff you out in a minute. He came over to greet me. "Merry Christmas, Stevie," I said. "How are you?" Now, I know he's blind, but he thinks I'm deaf because of how he puts his mouth right up against my ear when he talks to me. I need your help, Smoke. Hank Cosby and I wrote this music, but we can't think of any words. Will you write the lyrics? I'll try. Then, as he often does, Steveland. I'm saying Steveland. He say Stevie. Steveland started rapping, going on forever in the most abstract terms. I tried sneaking away, but he followed, never letting me out of his sight. Okay, so, Smokey had hinted before that Stevie Wonder was annoying to him and he talked too goddamn much. On top of that, he said that he was a little hyper. They didn't have terms for it then, but attention hyper deficit disorder. Okay, or it must ADHD. I don't know. Y'all know what I'm talking about. A little later, inspired by his track, I wrote The Tears of a Clown. We put it out on a Miracles album, and nothing happened. Years would pass before I heard from the song again, and when I did, it would play heavily on my life. "My life is changing, Smoke," said Marvin Gaye. "I'm going out for the Detroit Lions football team." Smokey Robinson said, "What? What are you doing?" He thought that Marvy Pooh was lunching or faking or just talking until he showed up at his door in a tracksuit. Smokey said he went from wanting to be a football player to a boxer. Smokey Robinson was like, "Man, just sing. What are you doing? Just sing." I'm serious about how you're always falling into bullshit, Dad. Why don't you just stick to singing? A few months later, he stuck it to us all. Singing, heard it through the grapevine. Here's what happened. Norman Whitfield had been turning the Motown sound around. Influenced by Sly Stone, he produced psychedelic stuff on the temps like Cloud 9 with Barrett Strong. He'd also written Grapevine and cut it on the Miracles, but nothing happened on the song until Aretha and Otis Redding got into a little friendly rivalry. "Hey, Ree," Otis said one day when the three of us happened to hook up backstage at the Regal Theater in Chicago. "I recorded that song you did. Try a little tenderness. The only difference is my version's a hit." He laughed. "That's okay, sucker," said Aretha. "I'm about to throw down on one of your tunes. When I'm through with it, you won't even recognize the thing." Couple of months later, Aretha came out with Respect, a thing of beauty and joy forever, a milestone in the annals of funk. By then, she'd switched to Atlantic, where they allowed her to do her own thing. Finally, she got her due. She was an international star. It was Ree's Respect that motivated Norman to recut Grapevine on Gladys Knight, using a similarly sassy soul feel. The result was a huge hit, but Whitfield wasn't through. He kept hearing his song differently. He wrote a haunting string chart and gave it to Dad, who is Marvin Gaye, who promptly sang the living shit out of it. Next thing we knew, Marvin Gaye had the biggest single in Motown history. Man, how I loved sitting back and listening to that record. Funny thing about Norman Whitfield, most of the producers liked the artists to interpret. Whitfield wouldn't stand for it. Had to have his songs sung just the way he wrote them. You might argue, but you might not. Norman had so many hits. The Temps, Wish It Would Rain, Runaway Child, Running Wild, Psychedelic Shack, Ball of Confusion, Just My Imagination, not to mention Edwin Starr's War. You might conclude that he knew what he was doing. He did. And so did Ashford and Simpson. Y'all, I swear to Jesus. Now, I know that the Ashford and Simpson, been together, singing together, forever together, okay? But every time I hear that duo combo team thing associated with Motown, it just knocks me out, because I'm like, not Nick Ashford, solid, not Valerie Simpson as a rock, not my solid as a rock. Nick Ashford and Valerie Simpson wrote some of the greatest songs associated with Motown. Not that I don't believe they have the capability, it just knocks me out. And I don't know why, because I think of them as such a dynamic married couple. I don't know. It's just like they just appeared out of the air with Solid as a Rock. And I never would think that they would have such a profound career before Solid as a Rock. Or my joint, Barbecue, found a cure. Barbecue. Nick and Val did a gorgeous thing on us called You Ain't Living Till You're Loving. But their greatest moments were with Dad, Marvin Gaye, okay, and Tammy Terrell. And a little later, Diana Ross. Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no river wide enough, ain't no valley deep enough to keep me from you. Ain't no mountain high enough was another one of those songs strong enough to hit on two distinct occasions. This was the time, the rise of Whitfield, the ascendancy of Ashford and Simpson, when Holland Dozier Holland fell out with Barry. Child, we ain't never heard this before. Okay? We ain't never heard this side of the story before. But tell me what you think. Okay, now we know, okay, that Smokey the Robinson is Berry Gordy's Flavor Flav. We know this. Okay? But tell me what you think about Smokey Robinson's version.